Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Dream Labs with Dr. Contrast, and we're live. So I just want to take a moment here and just a quick announcement before we get started here today. We're doing a little speed form studies based on some things we've been doing over the past few weeks, and I thought it would be very interesting to kind of carry that on. But the announcement I want to make is the following. Last week when we finished up that stream, we were going to talk about doing maybe some little magic marker, introduce do's and don'ts and how to work with very volatile media like marker. I thought, after I thought about it after last week when the Supreme ended, I just thought for sure that we might want to pull back a little bit. I'm going to pull back a little bit to make sure I put together a good program on simplicity and efficiency. It can get to the place with marker it can become extremely volatile and get out of hand in a hurry. So I'm going to put together a few notes and practice on this end on making sure that communication from my end to your end on working with marker really works well. So just bear with me here. I've not forgotten that promise, and I will definitely get it done here once I get a good handle on, all right, here's what we're going to do with this thing. Here's what we can do with it, and here are the capabilities thereof. It's very, very touchy. I mean, over the years, I've had some very fortunate, had great instruction, for example, when I was going through school at CCS. Sid Mead, Hullagassi, Vreeland, every one of those guys were absolute geniuses. And they taught us some neat things about the technique of working with a very volatile thing like a magic marker. In this case, I work with Copics, which are terrific. So we'll get that done. But again, switching gears here, today it'll be a lot of fun. I just put together a little bit of a pilot program here, getting in some speed form sketches. And I think the thing that I'm excited about, and on tone paper especially, on tone paper is a very unique set of circumstances because right away the tone paper, the red, whether it's black, red, gray, bright green, whatever it might be, that's the middle ground. So we'll go through some exercises today to kind of show you how to come up and highlight and then down in the shadow. And I'll be working with tone paper, working with probably some Prismacolor pencil, Copic marker, and some pastel dusting into it here. So I started this first sketch. Notice here what I did was just a little thumbnail study, like an elevation here, of just a form study, speed form. Then put it into a little bit of perspective. Is it cantilevered? Does it have a dual rigger on it thing to kind of give it some emotion? Then I went into a couple of plan views here to kind of show you the variation and theme you can work with. You could stretch this or elongate it, and that becomes part of the whole process of the thinking process of going through a speed form. What does it look like in elevation? What might it look like in perspective? And then putting it into plan view. And then last but not least, a little coupe study here down below, taking some of the features like that intake and that little intake here on the body form, very round surface development here. So that's what we're going to work on today. Just getting some really quick surface emotional pieces down to kind of describe shape. So that was the first pilot piece I started with here. So let's kind of get that guy out of the way. And we're working with some markers here. I might be moving the pad around a little bit here, so please forgive me if I go through some of these guys here. Let's go get this up here. Let's just stay in here first. All right, let's get some of the primary work out of the way first. Come back in here, a little bit of surface work. Come back into this. Keep it nice and subtle, first of all. Just kind of tone it in. Just real subtle. Build it up. Switch gears just a bit. Get this back. A little bit fuller up on top here. Just little by little, just bringing the surfaces out. Just really quick and simple. Let's kind of knock this down. Let's get a bit of a little shadow, a little insert piece here. Daylight opening in place, pardon me as I move this pad around a bit. Some control on this guy. Just a little bit of theme work here. There's that start. Let's get that in here. And let's go back and let's go down the line here. Pick a number 3, just to kind of put a little more spark in this thing. Okay, switch gears here. Get this down. This little tail section. back in. Bit of detail work in here. Now, the cool thing about this is now, come back in here, and we just take a look at this guy, and we're going to bring a little bit of Webro pad and soften it off here, and give it kind of an airbrush quality. It's nice and soft. We'll come back in, great drawing tools and eraser. Come back in here, get a little bit of highlight in through here. Let's get that brush out of here so we can kind of clean this up a little bit as we go here. There it is. The speed form setup here. And just get a little bit of highlight to run in through here. And then through here. Back over the top of this, kind of a little richer. Want that shape. And again, just kind of clean up a little bit. Come back and pick up some detail work. A little bit more of that dust. I'm going to put that in there. Let's just do a little bit of this, where the strength of that highlight is. Run that right through. There it is. And there it is. And just a touch back here, where it comes out of that sweep. Well, let's get that clean. Just kind of clean this up a bit now. And finish off with this daylight opening is here, and then bring that array around, and get a little more highlight here. And again here. Run it right through the form. And a bit of line weight change. And let's get back here. Just kind of clean that up just a bit. Notice how the eraser gives you some real romantic kind of shape and form here. It really kind of spells out what the actual shapes are doing. So again, these studies are going to be very ghost-like in generation. They're just very simple. Not a lot of effort put into the actually just getting the motion down. I think that's one of the neat things about this whole process of empathic sketching. So let's go back in through here. Let's do the same process here. Just working with 3 markers. And, oh wait, I got that back. Just this 3 here. Just gonna get this in place. The motion down. Real subtle. Let the middle ground of the paper do the work for us here. So let's get that into place. Let's get that into place. And a bit of canopy work here. And just gotta go back here. There's that one. Let's get this guy in place here just a bit. A little bolder. That does that. Let's come back in here. A little bit of a separation here. A little bit of canopy work there. Let's drop this guy out. Like that. And come back in and put a little more highlight. Let's get these guys in place here. Man, just a touch of this guy, just enough to kind of get a little bit of spark in through here. Just kind of tone that in, tone this in. Got a nice little elevation study right there. Put it all together. So, oops, Lost my brush. Let's get this back in here for a moment. Pardon me, just for a second here. Lost this brush. And get this up and out of the way here. Nope, can't reach it. I think we might have it here. I just dropped it off the top of that tablet. Nope, it's not going to work. Wow. I'll have to come back. Yeah, it's really back in there. Pardon me, just for a moment. Get this out. There we go. Sorry about that, gang. That's kind of moved away on me there. So let's get that brush and clean it up just a little bit more. Let's take this guy, erase a couple of pieces in here, get that back to normal. A little more drawing definition underneath this thing here. Get the canopy in place. And just a bit more definition right in through here. I'll put a little pencil added here, kind of define that just a little bit better. And that's that. And let's get this in here. Let's rotate just a moment. And a bit of hot spot right there, there and there. Sharpen this up a bit. Get that line right through. Yeah, little thumbnail study, there it is. Okay, so far so good. There's two little thumbnail studies here that we're working with here. Let me get these guys squared away. Now let's go back in through here. Back to this little bit of marker again. Let's get this down. Go back in, let's get some of these shapes down very quickly. Very emotional. Number 4 gray. Let's see, let's get this guy on the one side here. Let's get this number 4 gray. Just put a little more tone in this thing here. A little motion up on top of that guy. Let's see if we can get some of this here to the lightest gray, the number 1 cool gray. Look at that. Now let's go to a 3. A little more tone down below here. On top, back to number 1 cool gray, and let's get that upper look out. Come in and float for us here just a bit more. And there it is, up into the pillar, out of that form. And just a real light over the line here. Now, let's put a little bit of tone to this thing. Some of this guy. Pardon me reaching across here. Oop, let's get this back in line here. There it is. There it is there. And we come back in through here. A little more dust in this beauty. And just work right through it. And right back with the eraser. Back to highlight. A little more tone underneath here. A little hot spot. And the hot spot. And we'll just kind of clean it up a bit here. Put a bit of highlight in there. And again, through here. And just a bit more up on top here. A little bit more dust. Bring that forward. There it is. What we need, just enough of that. And get this highlight to roll right over the top of that front end here. And come underneath that with just a little bit more hot spot. More drawing definition. And there's a third study. There it is right there. It's just a neat little, very simple graphics here. Let's put a little more tone in this if we need to. Let's add a little more horizon on this upper. There it is. Put a bit of detail on that guy. What's missing here? Let's get this cleaned up just a bit, just in between the two. There it is. That helps get that defined. And put a little more detail in this guy. And there she is. Here we are, little thumbnail studies, empathic studies here from these emotional. Let's look at these guys again. Go back in through here. Put a nice little simple thing here, number 3 gray. Get that fender pontoon to work. Very simple, extremely simple. Just keep it nice and easy, very emotional. Let's put more jump in this guy here. And again, a little bit of hot spot. This guy sharpen up just a bit here. Let's kind of go in here. These guys are looking pretty good. There you go. So it's just speed form studies. A little highlight. Nice and easy. And maybe just a touch of this right through this hot spot area here. And we're ghosted in. And there it is. Put it over here. A bit of an eraser to get that highlight back again. Get that shade through. Let that kind of breathe a little bit. And maybe just a touch on top here. Kind of go through this just a bit, soften it off. That helps. There's that. There's that. And that's that. There's that little thumbnail study. There they are. Just really quick little gestures in terms of getting form down and getting these surfaces to really read in terms of being very emotional. Just looking into them and introspection, maybe looking at what is this form going to do in the other view. For example, I put it in perspective. What's that going to do at that time? What's it begin to look like? Just simple little studies here to deal with here. Okay, so let's go back in through here. Let's get this right out of the way. Out of the blocks, right here. Canopy study. That's that. Let's get back into here. Let's get this rail to go through. Turn this upside down for a moment here. Get a little more definition in this guy. There it is. Let's just kind of lay in some really interesting surface work here. Let's go back to number 3 gray. Get the majority of the body form in here. That's that. Turn that sideways a bit there, just really kind of blocking in some of the shapes. Let's get down to a number 4. And just going to fill in some of the blanks here with the number 1 gray. fill in some of those spots with a little bit of pastel, and we've got it. Pardon my hands here, I'll reach across the sketch. There it is. Coming back into this beauty just enough, just a little bit more highlight right in through here. And again, a little bit more through here. Soften it up, almost ghost-like. Yeah, let's see, let's get this. Let's get this guy to kind of a little more hot spot in through here. There you go. And again through here. Chase that highlight right through. And again, right in through, maybe about right there. And let's do this. Let's get this eraser back out again. Clean things up a bit. Let me get this back in square here. Listen space here. Yeah, a little thumbnail study there. Just getting some form, shape, etc. And there's another plate here, just kind of looking at where we are. With some of these empathic studies, speed forms, just looking at the ways of revealing shape and just working with some of the surfaces we're dealing with here. So with these down for a moment, we're going to another fresh sheet here. Come back to that. The next one is interesting because I think it's going to be kind of a cool looking setup here when we actually go into looking at maybe biomimicry, where we actually take some of these ant form, for example, and convert that into maybe a vehicle study of some sort. So that's how it started here. I came back in with and I'm going to pick up this module in just a moment here, so bear with me. I'm going to stain in a little bit of here, get that all set up. Just to get some surface down. Let's go a little further here. Number 4 gray. Turn this upside down here for a minute. More shape in this thing. Let's take that number 1 gray and come right back in again and retone it. Up on top here, a little highlight in there and there. There and there. And much more touch here. There's the basic gesture right there. That's what I wanted to just kind of capture. There's the actual basic gesture of that ant form right there. Let's put a little more sketch definition in it so we know what we're looking at here. So there's the basic gesture for the ad. Just adds the actual piece itself. I'm going to take that part of mimicry and just start to move it into maybe a little form study here for a vehicle. And interesting to come up with here. We're just kind of staying these two in. Just going to give you some idea of how that biomimicry can really help to work with systems and things that we're dealing with as far as getting these empathy, the emotional down. I mean, that's the idea. The idea behind these whole speed forms is to kind of look at the shape, not dictate it, give it an assignment, for example, in being a coupe sedan or a luxury vehicle, just looking at shape and form and the emotion thereof. So just going to go back in and keep it nice and simple, working with some little value here. And come back just a touch more. Maybe the number 3. A more tone in this thing. Come back again here, a little darker shape. Let's go back to a number 6 gray here, just to kind of keep it nice and simple. That. Back again to this number 4. Yeah, there we go. A little more tone in this thing. Reinforce it. And there it is. I picked up on just a little bit of that shape there. Hey, how you doing there, Antares? Hey, how you doing, Antares? Good seeing you right today. Yeah, tone paper here study. So I'll go back in a moment here and kind of bring up the speed here. Antares, how are you doing? You doing okay? Just kind of put these back in place here just for a bit. Let me know how you are, and I'll go back in and just come back in again. And the whole purpose of today's stream is working with the speed form studies, but looking at the emotional side of things. In the beginning of the stream, I mentioned the fact that we're going to maybe put together a little bit of a study on some marker technique and the like. But when I entered that stream last week, I looked at it and I thought, boy, you know what I'm going to do here is just back off a little bit, put together a good program agenda so it doesn't get too complicated or too intimidating, because there are a lot of little things in marker studies that become extremely difficult to deal with in terms of just interesting. So good stuff to deal with here. Not difficult at all. I just don't want to get to a situation where it becomes intimidating for everybody here to deal with. So this whole program today is dealing with getting a speed form down, an emotional shape, not being specific with it, but just getting forms together and getting some character or emotion behind some of the shapes we see. So I started out by doing this one. I'm just going to put these in order for you. I started out by doing this one. That was sketch number 1, looking at certain things where you actually take a simple elevation, crank that in there. Doing very well, thank you, by the way. A little elevation study, and then getting a little perspective with a double pontoon look in perspective here. And then the third study here, couple of plan views of where they want to take this thing. Do we want to stretch it, and or do we want to keep it pretty confined? And then the application might be a little two-place coupe of some sort, an open roadster. So that's the idea behind the process of getting into these speed forms, where you actually take advantage of doing a very loose but yet emotional piece and transfer it into something that looks like either vehicle architecture, what it might be. And today, just the stream is vehicle architecture. Any given category. So does that make sense? So far, so good. That's the intent we're after here today. So this was sketch 1. I started the stream with that. And then going into sketch number 2, getting into a little bit more voluptuous kind of round forms and getting a little bit more emotional with it, just almost very fluid-looking cockpit type studies, and extremely lucid in terms of just getting shape down and being very emotional. Notice not a lot of definition. We don't want a lot of definition. We want to be very emotional. So I think that move this over just a bit. So there we are. There's sketch number 2 I worked on. So let me know, what do you think there with these sketches? Yeah, well, yeah, I can get you some photographs of this and maybe text them to you if we can here. So very, very interesting in terms of notice. What I want you to notice, though, Antares, and for those of you viewing, notice how much paper is working through here. I'm just using that pastel as a ghost system to kind of deal with. I'll show you in a moment how we apply that. But it's a very, very delicate approach, and I think very exciting approach, because it puts mystery into it, and it gives you a whole lot more emotion in terms of getting the forms down. What do you want to do with these shapes? Is this front, back, rear? What kind of sections are we looking at? That's the idea behind the stream today. Speed forms to me have one purpose: to create an emotion about a product that is yet to be done. Emotion, product, not specific, emotion. What do you want this form to do? Maybe future reference, I'll take some of these emotional things and turn it into maybe a Rolls-Royce Ghost of some sort, something like that. I'm not sure. Oh, question there. I see you get a Myers form with some emotional quality first, and then develop. Yeah, that's exactly right. The emotional side down, then begin to translate it. Let's go back to that first sketch. That's what this first sketch was intended to do. There's the actual speed form itself. Now, in perspective, does it look like that? In plan view, can it look like that? And maybe, possibly, can it look like that in perspective? Now, there's a million combinations you can work out of that guy, but that's the idea. It's a process of A, B, C, and D, and it's never complete unto itself. It opens up the whole possibility of getting extremely, extremely very lucid. So to answer your question above that, get one of these sketches. Yeah, I think what I'll do is maybe try and, if you have a number that I can text them to, or else I'll maybe email them to you. Somehow I'll get something to you here. Let me know which ones you prefer to see, and we'll make sure we get them to you. So that was sketch 1. This is a sketch 2 I just finished up a few moments ago. Just again, very, very fluid looking, very round, and adding things that might not even apply, but you can use that as maybe a front and a rear fender skirt of some sort, and putting that all together. So that was a third set. Then the other approach I use all the time, very frequently, is biomimicry, where you take the body like an ant of some sort, form, and you come back in and you start to look at, okay, what if I do this thing with, let's go back to work on this guy. And hopefully, does that help to explain what the purpose of the stream is here? Antares, got it? Pretty good? Helping? Hope. But it's great to have you on board. Thank you. Not to worry about missing. I just started a little earlier to get things moving here. Hey, Der Halter, how are you? Good to see you as well. Thank you for being on board and making sense for you. Der Halter, good. It's good. Let me know how you're doing. So, and both of you, how are we doing here as far as explanation goes? I don't want to go too quickly. I don't want to go too in depth. I just want to make sure that, number one, the first quality that we're looking at here is emotion. What are we saying with it here, Antares? Got it. Thanks for that's super. Cool. Here we go. Let's go back in and add a little bit more detail to this thing. Tone this thing down. Now I'll show you in a moment how we're going to pick up some of these forms, what we're working with. Very little, very lucid, not committing, just getting shape down. There it is. That's the actual basic body form. Now, from that gesture of the ant, the biomimicry piece is this. What I looked at was this. What if I took that shape right there and stretched it and got this form right here? That's where that came from. So we're going to go back and highlight this guy. Let's put a little bit of hot spot on this thing. Up. Bring it through. Get that bone line to work in here. More hot spot here. More there. Let that guy float. Come underneath this thing. Now, let's add a little bit of that pastel. This is where it gets really spooky. It kind of keeps it very ghost-like. Pardon my hands here. I come across this page. Now you come back in and just add a little bit of that right into it, and man, right away you've got a motion instantly. So you come back on the eraser, get some of that form back again, into highlight through here, for example. Highlight through here. A little bit more pastel here. Just going to put that hot spot right in through. It's going to run that highlight right through here. Ink that in. I'll come back with an eraser. What you've lost, pick it back up again. Clean it up a little bit. And, just for what it's worth, I mean, look at that form. There's not much to it, but that's what you're after. You just want that real ghost-like looking shape. That really kind of, it's just, what if I extend this? What if I open that up? What if I shrink it down a little bit? Interesting stuff. So let's go back and put a little more definition into here. Oop. Let's get rid of this. And adding definition. I mean, look at that. I mean, that sketch, not much to it, but it's got emotion to it. I think that's the thing that I really want to stress here, the emotional side of getting speed forms to work for us. So we don't have to work at it. It works for us. I mean, notice how much paper is involved there. There's a lot of activity in terms of getting that done. So let's go the other way here. Let's get a little bit more. Let's start this route. Pardon my hands again. Put a little bit of that in place, a little more power to it here. Let's use this guy to kind of race in. Notice how that eraser becomes a drawing tool. You've got, look at that form right there. It's done. That form is actually done. Let's go back in a little bit more powder to this guy. Put a little more shape to it here. Just going to clean that. We'll come back to it in a moment here. We haven't lost much. Let's go back and tune this in. Let's see if we can get a little bit of highlight in this thing so it looks like an nice one. Yeah, there you go. That's better. A little bit of protruding intake here. There it is. Let's get some of this going together here. And lo and behold, there you go. There it is, gang. Look how fluid that beauty is. Yeah, that's exactly right, Terrace. Ghost-like quality gives you the feeling of, oh man, I just want you to read into this thing, and I'm not going to dictate anything that you're interested in. You might see it completely differently, and if you do, that's marvelous. I mean, that's the idea. That's why speed forms are so critical, because they do take you into that journey about what if. And man, it's a marvelous game to play. Pardon me, let me just get this guy squared away here. Just clean up just a bit, and let's put a little more definition up front here. And there it is. Oh, what do you think, Terrace? Is this making sense? Hopefully, just starting to see the relationships we're dealing with here. We could take any one of these sketches, convert them, expand them. What type of pastel? Yeah, I'm using. I always like to work with alpha color pastels rather than Prismacolor pastels. Alpha color. The difference is pastels. The actual Prismacolor pastel is a hot press, so it puts a skin on the outside of the actual pastel itself. So it's very brittle and very hard. But alpha color uses a very soft. No, thank you. Alpha color is very soft. It's cold pressed, so there's not a skin on it, and it's very, very pure. It's almost more dust-like, so you can actually get a lot more powdery out of it. It's much more effective looking. So I've always worked with that over the years, and I think it's been a great. I also have Rembrandt pastels, but that's more of a special operation in terms of what I look for here. Let me just do this real quickly here. A bit of ground effect there, but that's basically it. Then, Terrace. I've always said they're really great. They're very soft, great color perspective, and all that. Oh, thank you very much. I much appreciate that. If you think that's beautiful, that means a lot to me. And again, notice we're just really interesting little. I wonder what others. They kind of stack these guys up. I mean, look at the romance you get in these shapes. I mean, they tell a story. And I think that's what's great. These sketches aren't great, but they tell a story. They tell you about, oh yeah, I'm tuned into the emotional side of this thing. I'm not going to do a particular sport coupe or a sedan or SUV, or just something that's really interesting to work at. I can massage it and change it as is. And again, to me, that's the beauty of speed forms. The speed form should dictate an emotion, not a final product. Let's go back to the next guy right here. Let's bring these beauties up to speed here. All right, here we go. So far, so good. Am I communicating all right there, guys? Let's see. Duranto, are you still with us? Hopefully. Hope. So let's go back here and pick this beauty up. Let's get this guy down here. You'll notice too, when I'm going through this little sketch variation, I'm using some of the paper to come through. Not a problem at all. I mean, I'm going to use that as a tool. I guess let's also change the pace here. Let's get that little guy to work with here. I'm going to let that paper do a lot of the work for me here. So let's go back into that, and there's my number 4. Okay, let's go back in through here, pick up that crease line. A little more depth in this guy. That's that. Let's go back in. Get a little more tone in this. Let's get a tone in some of the basic minor surfaces here. Let's see here. I got number 5 there. Hey, I think 6. Put a hot spot on this guy now. There you go. Look how simple that guy is. Got it. There it is. Oh, thanks very much, dear Aunt Hillary. It's just a lot of great communication. Thank you. It's empathic looking. It's almost very much emotional in terms of feeling. Now let's get these in here. A little more definition. There it is. Little thumbnail study, black and white, just very simple graphics until we got that shape. And we got it there. And let's do this. Let's come back in again here. Oh, did it again. Lost the marker here. Let me get back at this guy. Here we are. All right, that's what I want. Number 1. There you go. Simple little study. What do you think, guys? Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say that, Antal Durantula. I really appreciate that. Sense of wonder. Yeah, that's the whole idea. The wonder of what you're doing with this stuff. What's going to come next? And it's an intrigue, for example, and certainly something really. Let's do this. There you go. I mean, just adding a little bit of those touches of dark against light, really showing you what it's all about here. So, Antares, sketches do inspire us. And so, very kind. I mean, I've been doing this all of my days, and I'm intrigued, absolutely intrigued with tone paper. It just absolutely mystifies me as to how it all functions. It's great work. So let me move along here, and thank you very much for your kind remarks. I hope this is helping you. Hope it's helping you to see, for example, how critical it is to not get caught up with a lot of detail, but let the spirit form, let the speed form dictate the newness. Where are you going to take it? And maybe it's going to take you to areas that you're not familiar with, and that's what it's all about. It's that challenge that makes it really worthwhile and outstanding. So here we go. Just going to get this guy here. A little thumbnail sketch here. I'll just keep all pencil. Just by line weight. And a little touch of marker, and we're in. Can be that melodic. That's that simple. I mean, that's how easy it all can become. Let's do this a bit more drawing definition in here. Oop. That's better. Down for a moment. There it is. I mean, just nothing to it. And I don't mean that facetious at all. Just thumbnail sketches to let you see what's going on here. Interesting stuff here, guys. Okay, ready? I'm just going to crank this thing up here. Find the right marker here, we'll be in good shape. Oh, there it is. just stained in. And we're off to the races. That's just an accent piece up front. Let's get this down here. Let's go to a number 4 gray if I can locate it. There it is. Come underneath there. That number 1 gray, and just kind of tone this thing out a little bit. Pardon me as I reach across here, guys. And there it is. It just kind of wraps it up for us here, gang. What do you think? Really appreciate the patience here. It took a little while to get there, but nonetheless, there's a nice series of just what I refer to as really quick empathic studies that are more speed form related, so we can kind of take a look at what's available in terms of some of the shadowing we're working with here. Let's do this one more time, just a bit more, bring a little more material in here. So soften it off a bit, that's better. And again, look how simple every one of these shapes have been. Just absolutely, hopefully been of some help to you again. It's intriguing work. To me, it's great to work with. I'm just always amazed at the power of tone paper, and also the idea of speed forms, being very lucid, looking for themes and generational ideas and so forth. So let me start from the beginning here. So down the line here, that was it, and that was it, and then this is where we started. This is phase one. Just kind of run right through them here for a moment and kind of recap them. And again, the whole idea here is to get them all set up. It's just really unique in terms of getting form down. And the nature of the title of today's program is Speed Form Studies. And again, the process of emotion. How to take a shape, for example, elevation, perspective, plan view, maybe translation into a little roadster coupe. Simple. Using three materials: Copic markers, Prismacolor pencil, an eraser, and also this is a neat little tool. It's called a Weeble pad. This thing is absolutely terrific. I mean, you use it. That's a printing press cleaner, and it's great to dust in. It gives you an airbrush look without being airbrushed. So that's the actual process itself. So there we are with sketch one. There we are with sketch two. Same process. Very empathic looking shapes, a very ethereal looking. And that's the thing that I've always really kind of, hopefully from a teaching point of view, that the more ethereal it gets, the more it describes some good conversation and description. And I hope it worked for you here. So there's two. And then this is the third study, that biomimicry piece, where I actually took an ant form and began to put it into some sort of a translation into, just again, looking at that basic. In this one, that study came about from looking at that upper portion there, just kind of stretching a little bit, getting that thing to sit up. Then into a variation of two. Then the last one we did was just almost just a series of really almost yacht-like looking, very large surface work to get it all to kind of come together. So there we are. And that's it. Antares and Der Anhalter, I can't thank you enough for staying with it here today. Just great to have you on board as always. We much appreciate the effort and time. I hope this has been of some help to you. And any questions at all before I wrap it up here? Anybody? Antares or Der Anhalter, thank you again for joining the forces today. Good to have you on board, as always. Any commentary? And I think I'll too, while I'm waiting for the commentary, I've also stated too that when I started, I'm not going to overlook the fact that we've got that marker piece coming up, but I do want to put together a really good agenda of a simple, efficient ways and do's and don'ts about how things are done and working with marker in compound form. Send her an email because of the sketch D. Send you an email because of the sketch. What is sketch D referring to, Andrew Antaler? Sketch D, this one, you mean? Is this sketch D? Yeah, very good. Yeah, please send me an email. I'll be happy to have received that. No question at the moment. I'll give this a try. It's fun stuff. So if any help at all, Antares, let me know. And by all means, send me an email. I can be reached at jim@drcontrast.com. Happy to receive that email. It'll be of some help to you. It'd be great. Also, same with you, Terrace. Please feel free anytime you've got some work to look at, then give me a holler. We'll take a peek at it and give you some insight here. But again, I can't thank you enough for today's patience gang with me getting this all put together. Please visit my website, drcontrast.com. If you have any questions or whatever, please send me a note to jim@drcontrast.com. Happy to help you there, especially Der Anhalter. Love to be a part of the process or to receive your message, and I'll respond. If I don't get at it right away, I will respond, so please be patient with me. And last but not least, thank you again for taking the time to be with me. Always fun to have you on board, folks. Great stuff. Again, empathy. This is an empathic speed form study, not looking for finished product, but looking for process. How to open up the imagination to become much more lucid with what we see. So once again, always remember to dare to be great, because you are. Have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday, hopefully, and we'll carry on. Maybe by then I'll have a good agenda put together for that marker piece. Well, I'll keep you posted. Thanks again, gang. Take care of yourself. Look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at the same time. All the very best. Thank you. Dare to be great.